9-time national champion. This is the Outside Gate with Steve Hall on the L4 Media Network, where we talk US Moto and anywhere the conversation goes. And today we're going to talk US Moto. We're also going to get into the woods a little bit as well, with another WMX star, Jordan Jarvis. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm real good. Always good when I get to talk moto with pro riders. Yeah, it's always a good time. So Jordan's driving at the moment. She's just sold one of her Woods bikes. So
Yep.
she's on the road, but we got some. You obviously got some good cell service there in Florida
I do.
and South Carolina. Yeah. Tell you what, if you were driving around Victoria where I live, we wouldn't be able to do a show because the service is so bad. That's for sure. Yeah, you wouldn't even drive
Listen,
around. You wouldn't even drive around Melbourne to try and do a show the way the cell service is in this country. So yeah, I'm jealous of that for a start.
well, thankfully, I'm by a pretty busy city right now, so service should be good for a little bit.
Yeah. I know. Like there's a motocross track just outside of Melbourne and you can actually see the tall buildings from Melbourne City from this track, and there's no cell coverage there whatsoever. So it's so bad down here. Yeah, it's bad down here. Let's get into it then. So you just I see that you just raced in Canada. You just went up there and had a win up there. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I went up to Canada the first time last year, actually for the same race, Walton Raceway in Ontario, I believe. Don't hold me to that; I could be wrong.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed it last year. It's super rutted, and I've always enjoyed ruts. Might have struggled with it a little bit at Loretta's, but better late than never. I felt good at Canada. No, but it was cool. I'm trying to figure some stuff out for next year. Kind of trying to figure out where to go. I've always wanted to get up and at least do one of the East or West. Doesn't really matter. I'd like to do the full series if I could, but yeah, it was kind of like a show and tell almost. Trying to get some eyes on me. Hopefully, get some offers rolling in for next year.
Cool. So you're looking at getting back fully into moto next year rather than the GNCC?
Yeah, I mean the GNCC stuff is pretty cool this year. Definitely a very big change. It's not anywhere close to motocross, and I have only ever done motocross. I'd never raced a woods race in my life before this year, so it was different. But yeah, that was 6 races, I believe, that I did, and kind of parted ways with the team I was on. And I did enjoy it. I think I'm going to get back to racing it at some point. But I need some support for it. Those 2-hour races are not easy on bikes. So that will
Yeah.
not be coming out of my pocket, that's for sure.
Yeah. Off road just destroys bikes. Yeah, it does. Yeah, definitely. More,
Yeah.
bike maintenance and that sort of thing. Like, it's crazy. It just, and just the nature of the woods riding. Especially when it's wet and all that. It's just, it's like a two
It's,
hour. It's like a 2 hour mudder as well as with like rocks and logs and everything else, and it just like
trees.
it
Trees that
just
don't move.
destroys bikes. Yeah, absolutely.
I think
Yeah.
my first race of the season, I ended up DNFing that race because I busted a radiator because I hit a tree so hard.
Yeah.
Welcome to the woods.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I've hit plenty of trees in my life. A lot going a lot slower than you would have been, but yeah, I've hit plenty of trees. The last race I did, which was the sort of what was it, late last year, an off road race. Yeah, I tagged a tree real good, and
They just jump out
yeah,
right in front of you. You
yeah,
can't.
yeah,
They get right out in front of you.
yeah. No, it certainly, yeah, and I tagged a tree and I destroyed a bike. So that was there was woods racing for you. So yeah, that was a we have a fair bit over here. We have races called Pony Express, which is a bit of an odd name, but it's basically it's sort of like a GNCC style race, but you do it with a partner. So
Okay.
you come in and change over. You bump tires, or nowadays you don't bump tires. You swap transponders for timing.
Yeah.
And there, so you do a lap, and then your mate does a lap, or you do two, and then he does two, or whatever, and that sort of thing.
Well,
And
that would be nice. Get a nice little break in between.
it is. It's good for, especially for old boys. Like, yeah, we did it between me and my mate. We were over 100, and we raced over 80 class. I'm 48, and he was 52, I think. So we were like 100, and we raced that, and we didn't finish because of my bike, which was disappointing. But bit of fun. That's the way. That's the way. And Loretta's just recently so close, hey, so close. I was going to try and it's hard. It's hard here to watch Loretta's races, for us because of the timing of it and all that sort of thing. And so I was going to try and watch your final moto before we did this show, but I haven't had a chance. But obviously it came down to the wire. Yeah.
That's the one to watch. I finally remembered how to ride, so that recommend watching the third moto. But if you do watch the third moto, you're gonna hear the announcers pretty much talk about how old I am the whole race.
That's a bit right. How old are you? You got to be like early 20s still.
Yeah, I'm 23.
Yeah, no, yeah.
In all fairness, for the most part, I am one of the. I won't say I'm the oldest one out there because I am definitely not. But I guess out of the front pack, I am the veteran. I have been doing this for a very long time. But considering, I guess I was racing against a 17-year-old, maybe an 18-year-old, and a 19-year-old. I guess I would be the old one of the group out of that. But
yeah,
I went back and watched the race, trying to just look at lines and stuff like that and just see what I need to work on, for next year and the rest of this year. And I heard them talk about how old I was. And the real kicker was they thought I was 21 and they were calling me old. I was like, oh, yeah, I'm 23.
It's funny, I guess. Yeah.
It was a good race.
I guess that for the, obviously we have WMX back, but, for a few years there, the pathway sort of not strong once you get out of that amateur scene for the girls, though, is it? Like hopefully WMX, like I was talking to, I had Sophie on a while back there, and we were talking about that hopefully the WMX, kicks off. She was even saying that she was thinking about maybe, finishing up racing, until the WMX kicked off and that sort of thing. So it's, it's cool.
It's
and your dad is your dad the driving force behind that? Am I right there, or am I thinking of someone else's dad? It is your dad?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes,
so
sir.
That's cool.
My dad.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, even with the WMX being back, it's obviously not what it used to be when, Folick was around and Patterson and Tara Geiger and all them. It's absolutely not anywhere close to what it used to be. And I'm not sure if we'll ever get back to that stage. There's a lot of factors that kind of go into it. But I really hope we do, or at least we get close. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be in my time. If I had to guess, it's going to probably be in a couple years. And despite my best efforts, and I'm going to ride for as long as possible, I will actually be probably the oldest one at the track in the women's class at some point. I don't think it'll be in my time. But regardless, I'm going to do what I can to get it back because it is tough. When I was growing up, that's kind of what I was watching. I was watching Patterson and Folick battling back and forth and getting a ride and really being able to make a career out of our amazing sport. And it really sucked when that went away because, growing up watching that kind of stuff, you're like, oh, that's who I want to be. That's what I want to do. And then it goes away and you're kind of like, well, what do I do now? So at least for me, I kind of switched gears up for me. I was like, you know what? I'm going to race. I'm going to figure it out. And that turned out to be racing in the men's pro motocross side. And I think for the most part, I did fairly well. I would like to get back to it. I would like to get back to it at some point. I Definitely need to get some more training in though. Those guys are getting faster, so I got to get faster myself. But yeah, it was a really cool, I guess, aspect for me to race for so long in the pro men's side of it. I think it taught me a lot, and it hopefully brought some attention to women's racing by doing that. So I will continue doing that if I need to. I definitely like riding with the men. It teaches you a lot.
Mm.
They ride very, very different than we do. And I think a lot of my style comes from racing with the men as much as I have in my career. So yeah, I'd love to get back to it. Honestly, I feel like the next couple of years I'm just kind of be drifting around, trying to, I guess, kind of do a little bit of everything unless I get something, like a really good ride. I would love to make it over the GPs at some point. That would be awesome. I think that would be another hard change because their tracks are obviously super, super different than ours.
Mm.
The women ride early. It's not typically super rutted or super rough. And one of my favorite things is the jumps. They don't really have too many jumps. And I guess on the women's side of it, that seems to be where I do fairly well. I guess in women's standards, I'd like to say that I'm a big jumper compared to most.
Yeah.
So that was definitely one of my advantages, and that's definitely going to be tough not to have that if I were to go race the GP stuff. But I would love to do that. I got to get some support to do it. So yeah, I think I'm just kind of drifting around for a while and see if I can make something happen somewhere.
Yeah, cool. Because I was going to ask about because you've done one GP, in the
Yes.
yeah. Well, in the
Yes.
vault it says you've done a GP in Britain. Yeah, in what was that
Yep.
2018? Yeah, I think 18. I wrote it down
19
here.
maybe?
Some. Yeah.
18 or
Okay. Yep.
19.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
that was a tough race to be my first GP. It was very muddy. I don't know whose idea it was to have a race in Britain in February, but not a good idea. It rained. I think it snowed a little bit pretty much every day. Um, and we only got one practice because they canceled the second round because it was so bad. The metal scaffolding they have behind the starts at most of the GPs, folded into a pretzel because it stormed so bad. So it was an interesting race, but I really enjoyed that track, honestly. That would have been probably one of my better tracks if I were to do it. It's super jumpy. There's one really big tabletop just after the finish line. And I attempted to jump it in practice, which probably wasn't the best idea because I did end up falling, but I did hit it in the first moto, and then the second moto, I was still the only female jumping it until I was battling with Chiara Fontanesi, and she actually ended up following me over it. So that was pretty cool.
Mm.
It was also pretty cool. They don't let you run tear-offs at most of the GPs.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
you have to use roll-offs, which is fine. I would prefer to use tear-offs, especially when it's sticky like that, because then it just sticks to your goggles and it makes it super heavy.
Yeah.
But I didn't have anything for the mud because me and my dad flew over, and Bud Racing Kawasaki provided me with a bike, but I had no test time on it beforehand. I just showed up and rode a bike I'd never touched before, and raced that. So I didn't have any mud prep for my gear or anything like that. So all the mud was sticking to my helmet. And it was just, like I said, it was pretty sticky, so it was hard to really get a pull for the roll-offs on the ground.
Mm.
So I would hit that tabletop, and I would get two pulls to pull my rolls, pull it clean. And in the same jump, I would then take my hand and pull the mud off the top of my helmet
Scrape
too.
the mud off the top.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
So I
Yeah.
get two quick pulls and then scrape some of the mud off my helmet because my helmet was drooping so far down because it was heavy. And
Yeah.
I got a video somewhere that people had taken of me because, for one, it's not normal for women to jump over there, but to see this American that nobody knows pulling roll-offs and scraping mud off while jumping this big tabletop in front of everybody. They're all just like, oh my God, what is
And
happening? Who is this?
then you'd have a muddy, your glove would have been muddy as well. Like when you put it
Yeah,
back
a
on the
little
bars.
bit.
Yeah.
You just get a quick little swipe of the pants
Yeah.
on the gear and
Yeah.
makes do.
Yeah. 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 Very cool. Cool. Yeah, I'm surprised that you haven't had offers from Europe anyway, with what you've done in the States. That's a surprising one. Yeah.
I would have hoped so. When I was over there, I didn't have the best results. Um, the bike that I was on, the Bud Racing Cowie, they had their own clutch, and it was pretty different than what I was used to. So I was struggling off the starts. Um, and after the starts, it was obviously super muddy. Um, and their suspension, I guess because I am a jumper, and I guess the type of tracks that we have over here, I run my stuff, I guess my suspension fairly stiff for most of the women
Mm.
over here. So then to go over there, my stuff was super, super soft.
Yeah.
So that was a little different. That was a little challenging. But I ended up falling both motos, I think, and I battled with Kiara the second moto for sixth for like half the race.
Yeah.
And she ended up getting around me, and I stayed with her until the last lap. I ended up falling, and I got stuck under my bike. So that kind of killed that moto, unfortunately. But no, I would love to go there. That's always been kind of a goal. I always kind of want to travel around and challenge myself and do different things and race new people. This year at Loretta's, I haven't really raced Kylie too much, but I've never raced Lachlan Turner before. They were below me for the age group. So it was cool. It was cool to get to ride with some new people. But strategy wise, it made it a little bit tough because I don't really know who I'm racing with. Some of the other women I've been racing my whole life, and it's like, I know where you struggle. This is where I'm going to set my pass up. So that was definitely a learning curve, but it was fun. I enjoyed it. And honestly, I'd love to keep challenging myself and riding with some new people and learning some new skills and stuff like that.
Yeah, cool. You should come and race the Aussie girls. The Aussie our series is going quite well, like the strongest it's been for a good while. So yeah,
I'm open to any offers. I'm open. I would love to I've always loved traveling, and just like learning new stuff and riding with new people. I love riding new tracks and getting to see what the world has to offer. What year was it? 20 might have been 2020 or somewhere along the lines of that. Maybe not quite that long ago. Me and Jamie Astillo went over for the European of Nations race. And it was held in Spain. That was pretty cool. I would love another go at that. I was on another borrowed bike that, in my opinion, was a little clapped out. It was
okay, yeah.
I ended up renting the bike, so I couldn't really do too much with it. But a little uncomfortable with the bike, but the track itself was just tough. Obviously, it was held in Spain, so the Spanish girls did fairly well there.
Yeah.
But it had some jumps, but it was just so hard packed. There was no lines. Definitely made me want to try and practice riding some hard pack. Maybe I'll throw my hand at dirt racing, just to get used to the feeling of it, so I can see if I can get a little bit better with the flat tracking.
Flat track, yeah.
Yeah.
Get used to the hard pack turns, yeah.
It's definitely not like that here in the States. For the most part, even if it is hard, we still have some ruts. I think when I went over to Spain, there was all of 2 ruts, maybe.
Yeah.
So it was definitely different. But those girls are obviously super, super talented. I would love for the Des Nations to throw a women's class in there. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, it would be cool. Would be cool for sure. Yeah, I've never thought of that, but yeah, I'm all for it anyway. I think it's cool. My daughter rides. She just trail rides. She's very, very cautious. She's never going to be a racer, but
that's okay.
That's it. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to get wanted to get WMX riders on the show, because ever since she was little, I've sort of shown her like these are role models. These are because there's a lot of bad female role models out there, But I always showed it, like people like yourself, and say these are role models. These are girls who are cool, So
Well,
that's
I appreciate that.
no worries. Yeah. I think, like I said, there's a lot of bad female role models out there that young girls look up to and think they've got to be like. Well, they don't have to be. They can be cool and do stuff that the boys do and beat the boys. That's it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, cool. Hey, we might just go back in your life a little bit. My favorite question of the show is about your first when you first fell in love with dirt bikes. Like, yeah, when did the bug bite you?
Ooh.
What's that story like? Yeah.
Oh, that's gonna be hard. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't completely remember. I started riding when I was 4. I think I
Yeah.
started racing at 5.
Yeah.
My dad used to race professionally for himself, late 80s, early 90s, or something like that. Um, and
Yep.
he always rode for the well, he didn't always rode. He got a late start. His parents didn't let him start riding until he was 18 or 19. So he was like, "Nah, I'm gonna make sure my kids ride early." Um,
Yeah.
so my dad always raced, and me being there and always at the tracks and stuff like that with him, I was like, "Oh, I want to do that too. I want to ride too." So he got me on the bike, and it stuck. I played a bunch of sports when I was little. I played basketball. I played soccer. My parents even tried to get me into t-ball, if that tells you how little I was. And it didn't go very well for me. I would sit in the outfield and build dirt bike tracks in the dirt.
Yeah.
So it stuck pretty quick, and then I think I hit uh, 8, 8 or 9 or something like that, and my parents were like, "All right, Jordan, you got to pick. We can't, have a soccer game Saturday, go riding Saturday night, and then have a race Sunday morning.
Mm.
We can't keep doing all this, so you got to pick." And I was like, "Okay, motocross, dirt bikes." And then ever since, it's obviously stuck.
Dad just had you all around it right from the get go.
I think my dad had me at a Supercross race when I was an infant. He wanted he wanted to go watch the Supercross, so he told my mom, said, "Let's go. We're going to a Supercross."
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, I know. I played every sport that was available to play in my little hometown, and then within probably 18 months of getting my first dirt bike, I was about 9 or 10. I stopped everything else. So yeah, I can relate to that. I can remember kids at school saying to me, just they couldn't believe I wasn't going to play football the next year. Like, what are you going to
Yeah,
do? And so I just, I'm going to ride my motorbike. And they
yeah,
were like, "What? You're not playing football next year?" It was just like this, like I was crazy. We didn't have a racing scene, so we would just make crappy tracks out the bush, as we say. We had no racing scene, but yeah, it was still like every night after school, every Saturday, every Sunday. Unless I had to fix my bike, so I was either working on my bike or riding it. Yeah, that's
it's
the
addicting. It's
yeah,
motocross is one of a kind. You obviously you get to travel some really cool places. I've been super blessed with everything that I've done. I've been to several countries. England, France, Spain. Honestly, probably would have been more if I hadn't been hurt for some of them.
mm,
But I've been to a lot of different places because of motocross, and I think it's pretty safe to say that chances are I probably wouldn't have been able to say that at 23 if I didn't race.
mm,
It's just like I said, it's one of a kind. You make a family with people obviously you're not related to,
yeah,
and they're for life. The type of people you meet at motocross tracks, wherever you're at around the world, if they can help, regardless of whether you're competition, they're going to help. I mean, I went up to Canada. I actually went up with the girl who finished second, Jamie Astadio. I went up with her family. They let me stay with them at their hotel. I drove with them. Um, how many other sports are you going to find another competitor that's going to let you do all that stuff?
Yeah, it's
Uh,
amazing, isn't it?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it's definitely
people are so
it,
good. Like
yeah,
I just wrote an article about just how good people are in moto, and yeah, a few of the examples I gave when I was writing that was like I've seen like two families become great friends just because someone needed to borrow a lever, you know.
yeah, yep,
I've seen little kids turn up for their first ever race, and
yeah,
um, all the other kids just embrace them and
yeah,
show them the ropes and that sort of thing, and they just, you know, um, they'll be um, they'll be digging jumps in the pits
oh yeah,
on
yep,
their for their BMX, you know, with the kids
yep.
that they're going to race later on, you know, and all that sort of stuff. It is so good, and the way people help each other out and that sort of thing. Yeah, it's a really yeah, so good, so good.
One of my best friends, I actually I met a couple years ago now. I went out to California for Mammoth Mountain. It was my first year out there, and me and my dad, we went out in our Sprinter van, and we've got most of what we need in the Sprinter. We just don't have a shower. So we're up on the mountain, and the way it works at Mammoth is you are not allowed to stay overnight up there because there's bears. So you have
Okay,
to
yeah,
go up each day. And one of the days I happened to park next to this family, and she was racing in the girls' class with me. And they offered for us to go back to their hotel at the bottom of the mountain and take showers, and we could stay with them and eat dinner and everything like that. And she's one of my best friends now, and their family is, like another family to me. They're awesome, and it's that's not going to happen at a soccer game or a
no,
football game.
no,
It's not.
it's not going to happen. Yeah, yeah,
No.
it is. It's so cool, so cool. My kids laugh at me. Like in the normal world, I guess I'm almost introverted in the normal world. You know, I don't sort of make friends, I keep to myself a fair bit. But anytime I go to a moto event, my kids will laugh. Because I won't stop talking the whole time. My kids will be like, "Dad's out there making friends," you know. That's sort of the running joke. Because I'm in my element. I'm with my
Yeah.
people, you know, and I just go out and make friends, you know. It is cool. Yeah, very, very cool. Hey, your Loretta's, Jordan, your Loretta's. It seemed like you got really good, really quick. Looking at your Loretta's results, like you had I've got it written here. You started in 2010, then in 2011 you were 88th, and 2012 you were second in the same class. So was that like bad luck the first couple of years, or did you just like everything click and you got fast? Like, why the huge change in results?
So that first year I actually went on a 50. I
Yeah,
don't know if any other girl has done that in that class now. I know some little girls have made it in the PW class and
yeah,
the junior 50s. But I made it in that class, and then I actually made it as a 9-year-old. So I was 9, but in AMA terms, whatever you are at the beginning of the year is what you are for the rest of the year.
yeah,
So my birthday's in March, so I was an AMA 8-year-old. So I raced in the 7 to 8 class. And I was actually doing pretty well my first year there. The first moto, I was running 16th or something in the first moto. And I was on, I don't know if you'll remember this bike. I was on a Metra kit. They got big for a couple years. They were an Italian bike. They were, excuse my French, but they were a badass little bike. They were
yeah,
a really cool 50.
yeah,
Um, and it was super hot that year. I think heat index was like 110, 115. And on a 50, you really don't get, you're not jumping, so the bike's not really getting any chance to cool off at all. I actually came by the mechanics area with some really big breaker pumps, and my reed cage melted.
Oh,
And I went to get on the gas and it fogged. Yeah, it fogged when I hit one of the breaker bumps, and I ended up cartwheeling pretty bad. So that kind of took the sails out of me for the rest of the week. But the next year, I went in the 65 7 to 9, I think, one of the 65 classes. And I went in the girls' class. And going into it, I knew I would kind of be towards the front from Daytona and Minios and stuff like that. I knew most of the girls that I was racing with. But at Loretta's in practice, I actually had the fastest lap time by over 5 seconds, I believe. So we were feeling pretty good going into that week. I actually, unfortunately, ended up crashing the first moto and breaking my collarbone. So
okay. Yeah.
that took me out for that week. But then the next year I came back and, we really put the work in, and I knew where I should have been by that point, with my times and results from every other race the rest of that year. But my major fault that I apparently still struggle with, if we're going to go back to Loretta's this year, is starts. I had some decent speed that year. I just couldn't get starts.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's a make or break with someone that you're pretty similar in speed with.
Yeah.
If you don't start with them, unfortunately, there's not much you can do. But that was kind of my hindrance this year as well, was the starts. And first couple laps sprint speed. I struggled with that. The last photo, whenever you get time, I recommend to go watch that one. That was a better race for me.
Okay. Yeah.
I figured that one out pretty quick. I started out a little farther up front and got my sprint speed a little bit quicker than I did the first two motos. So that definitely helped me get that win for sure.
Yeah, cool. And then, yes, so 6 Loretta's titles, and you've been second, 2 or 3 times as well, so.
Probably a couple.
Yeah.
I think there was 2 years that I had bike issues that I ended up going DNF 1-1.
Yeah.
So those were a tough loss.
Yeah.
Those were a tough loss.
Who was your rival in the early days? Who was your sort of your rival, or was there a mixture, or was there one particular person?
There was kind of a mixture. When I was younger, probably in the girls' class, it was Jasmine Canfield. And then once I started riding in the women's class, Hannah Hodges came into play because she is 4 years older than me, I believe. So she was kind of out of my age group for the girls' classes. But by the time we got to women's, it was me, Hodges, and Cantfield. We were all kind of going back and forth.
Okay. Yeah. Does Canfield, she still race? Like, that's not a name I remember. So no. Yeah.
Nope. She stopped racing 20, maybe 19.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, because like in that sort of gap for a while between the pro women's series, there wasn't a natural progression for a few years.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's probably did lose a few, I guess, from that. So
yeah, we recently lost Taylor Allred. She decided to hang up the gear. She still rides every now and then, but she doesn't race. And I heard the same thing you did. I talked to Sophie a couple times last year, and she kind of said the same thing, where she wasn't really sure what she was going to do, if she could keep racing. So yeah, we've lost some of the top women in the last couple of years. Obviously, the new generation is coming up quick. Definitely keeping the veterans, me apparently, on her toes, making sure we're not slacking off too much. But no, we've lost some good riders over the year, and it's a shame. I would love to see Taylor in her prime, Sophia in her prime, mixing it up with the next gen of the women's class. I think that would be really cool.
Yeah, cool. Righto, time for an ad read. Guts Racing. Gutsracing.com. That's a really easy website to remember. Gutsracing.com. Greg's Ultra Trick Seats is what that stands for. This weekend, it sounds like RJ Hampshire is coming back to pro motocross. He will be on his Rockstar Husqvarna with a guts seat. Just like if you buy a Rockstar Edition Husqvarna off the showroom floor, their premier model comes off the showroom floor with a guts seat. That speaks volumes for the brand, doesn't it? Kenny, bit of excitement around Kenny for Iron Man. He'll be on an RMZ 250 with a guts seat. How about that? Hey, Kenny on a 250. That'll be pretty cool. A lot of cool dudes out there on gut seats. If you want to be cool like Phil, if you want to be cool like Mookie, if you want to be cool like privateer hero Scott Meshy, who says that a gut seat is a butt gripper and that will make you a ripper. And Scott himself, he is back at the Nationals now too. Guts obviously make seat covers. They also make complete seats, seat foams, the ultralight seat foam. You can get a seat with a seat bump. You can get a tall seat in a couple of different sizes. You can get the RJ wide wing seat. We had the great man on here a little while ago telling us all about that. You can also get Velcro fitment or traditional staple fitment and a huge range of colors. Check out their website. It is fantastic. When you get your seat cover, it comes with a QR code. You scan that code and it will take you to a video where you will see Andy Gregg himself showing you how to install that seat cover. How's that for service? You don't get that sort of thing too often with any company. Gutsracing.com, once again, gutsracing.com. That's a real easy one to remember. So make sure you get around them. Cool. And also, for the next few shows, and one show in particular, we have Spec Bolt. Check out the hat, Spec Bolt. They are coming on board. All things to do with bolts. So this particular ad read will be best for the video version. So I will clip this so you can't see it if you're just listening. But Spec Bolt have hooked me up with some kits for my couple of bikes. I'm restoring a 1984 Honda CR250 and a 1986 YZ or YZ, as we say, 125. And Ken from Spec Bolt has hooked me up here, sent me these restoration kits, and it's amazing. I can't believe. Like, I knew it would be pretty good. I've followed them and I've looked at their products and that sort of thing, and it's amazing. So just, if you are watching, look, for instance, like there's the bolts for the crankcase. It's in a little Ziploc bag. Each bolt, it's all marked, and every single brand new bolt, OEM style for the crankcase. I got zinc plated because I just, the bikes I restore they're riders, they're racers. They're going to go out and get raced on a mud track. They're going to get roughed up and that sort of thing. So I didn't need to go too flash. You can also get a nickel plated kits if you are doing a restoration that you want it to be extra flash looking. You can get just kits for you can get just engine kits. You can get full resto kits. You can also get maintenance kits for modern bikes. So we're going to do a special episode with a guest who is renowned in the bike restoration field. Let me just say renowned. There's probably Doc Wobb and then this guy. He's going to come on the show. He is a Spec Bolt user, so stay tuned for that. And he's also be a good fun guest because he's very much a character. There's the top end kit. Look at that. You even got your copper washers are in there. Your dome nuts. This is the Yamaha kit. Fantastic. And then there is the rear wheel kit. Look at all those, sprocket bolts, the Loctite, all of those. Looks like you've just got that's come from Yamaha, or if not better quality than what you would get from Yamaha. Amazing. Specbolt.com. That's another really easy website to remember. Specbolt.com. Okay. Thanks for listening to those ads. Hope you didn't skip them. And let's get back to see what Jordan Jarvis has got to say. Cheers. Hopefully, is there any sort of broadcast at all for the WMX this year?
No, not for this year. My dad actually attempted to get the women's class back. I guess it was 2 years ago now. And for whatever reason, we did not get the final yes that we needed. Um,
Yeah.
we had someone that was willing to do like a quick, like couple of minute highlight of
Okay.
the
Yeah.
two races.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, that did not happen this year. We we're getting some decent publicity from it,
Yeah.
especially at Daytona. That was a good one for publicity. I wasn't able to race that one because there was a GNCC that same day.
Yeah.
Um, but no, it's first year, and I think it's going pretty well so far.
Mm.
Hopefully, we can make some big strides for next year going into it.
Yeah. Cool. Because I know, like I said, our WMX is going really good. Like, this is probably I don't know if best ever, best in a good while, and it actually it doesn't get on the main broadcast, so
Yep.
it runs. They do half the rounds of our nationals,
Mhm.
but our nationals is only 8 rounds, so they do 4 rounds, and they don't get on the main broadcast on the main TV station, but they do get on the live stream, which comes through.
Okay.
So you do get to watch them race, and
Yeah.
which is a pretty big deal, and it's awesome racing. Like, it's really good. We have one girl, Charlie Cannon, who I think she hasn't lost. I don't think she's lost a race where she hasn't crashed in like 2 years, and
Okay.
I don't think she's lost any races this year so far. So she's very dominant. But the battles for second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth is just crazy. So it's pretty cool. Yeah, it is really cool. Actually, I actually expected Charlie to go to America this year. I thought that might have been
Okay.
what she was. So maybe next year. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're making steps on their end for this year. Actually, next year. They rearranged the schedule for this last WMX round that they had at Walton. And I believe it was the second moto was on Fox Sports. So that was pretty cool. That's a big step
Yeah.
for racing up there. And I really hope that it continues to get better up there and hopefully it carries over to the States as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's awesome. I love hearing that there's so
Yeah.
many dominant women's organizations throughout,
Yeah.
the country and the world and everything like that. I love to see that we're getting a good representation everywhere.
Yeah, and it's good. And they also, in the Aussies, they really push it as well. Like the pit reporter chick, Kate, she grabs a couple of the girls and does like this
Mhm.
track walk thing with them that gets on the TV and all that sort of
Oh,
stuff.
that's awesome.
And there's a lot of good personalities amongst the girls and that sort of thing. And several of them are sort of like, Charlie's factory Honda, so she's actually under the
Okay.
factory tent, but
Yep.
several of the girls are like factory supported and that sort of thing
That's
as
awesome.
well. So it is pretty cool. And then also Charlie and another one of the girls, Emma, they they've done every round. They race the boys. They race MX2 when they're when the WMX isn't on. So it's
That's awesome.
it's interesting. Charlie's little brother, Jake,
Mhm.
who actually he raced in America this year, did a round. He is we have an MX3 class, which is kind of, it used to be called under 19s.
Okay.
He's winning that factory Honda as well. And next
Yep.
year, if he wins that, he'll move up to MX2. So if she does that same thing again next year, she'll race her brother, which so
We love
yeah.
that.
I think he's
I
faster than her now, but I'd say growing up, she probably was beating up on him. I think he's probably faster than her now because he's gotten like pretty insane, But yeah, that'll be certainly a fun thing to see them lining up on the gate, brother and sister. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, it sounds like I might need to head over to Australia.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's there's it's only four races, but yeah, it is like we've got one girl that's supported by the Kawasaki team. one
Yeah.
supported by Gas or Husky. And then Charlie's Factory Honda, and then there's some like satellite. There's like a satellite Honda team that's got a couple
Mhm.
of girls riding for them, and so
Well, it
it's
sounds like y'all need a Yamaha women's rider over there.
yeah, we do. I'm just trying to think. Charlie used to be Yamaha. I'm trying to think if any of the top girls are on Yamahas at the moment. I'm probably going to get in trouble for forgetting someone, but I don't think there is. Off the top of my head, yeah,
Well,
that's
hey,
it.
a
No.
bike's a bike at this point. I'm not picky.
That's the way. Yeah. No. Well, don't worry. I'll put the word out. That's for sure. So yeah, it's all good. Hey, let's talk a little bit about you getting into doing the nationals against the boys. Um, yeah. Do you have any sort of I guess favorite sort of memories, favorite race, funny stories, or anything from that? Like,
Oh
you
yeah,
know,
I've
yeah.
I've got I've got plenty of them. How long you
Right.
got?
Tell us a couple of your favorite ones, because I know what boys are like when there's a girl on the track. I've seen it firsthand, and
They're
I know.
actually not that bad.
Okay, yeah.
In on the pro side, they're not that bad.
Okay,
Amateur
because
side was a little different.
I've seen
Yeah,
the amateur side, and it's
yeah,
they grow the
yeah.
boys they don't play nice, yeah,
No, the amateur side's definitely it's a little different, but the pro side, the guys are pretty professional for the most part.
yeah,
I got I think yeah, I got a couple stories.
yeah,
I guess we can start off at the beginning. My first national I ever made was at WW Ranch in Florida in 2019. I was racing the 250 class, and I honestly love sand, so that worked fantastic for me because WW is a sand track.
yeah.
Um, it was sandy. It was super hot because it was the middle of summer in Florida. So I was already feeling good on that part, but we were having a freak bike issue. I was on kind of a satellite Cowie team for that year. Um, and we could not figure it out. We came off of the first practice and we tinkered with a couple things on the bike, tried to figure it out, and it really didn't solve it. So I went out for the second practice, came back, and I want to say I qualified like 48th or something. I might not have been quite that close. I was between like 48 and probably 52 or something like that. So I wasn't too far off. Um, but I came off my second practice and I was losing power on the bike and I had to go down for the LCQ. So my dad and a couple of the other mechanics did a motor swap in 40 minutes or something like that, 30, 40 minutes. It
Yeah.
was a quick transition over because they don't really give you a ton of time from the second qualifier to the LCQ. So got that switched up, went out for the LCQ, and bike still wasn't fixed, unfortunately. I believe it was something electrical, but I got a new bike after that. So thankfully, I didn't have to chase the issue down. But I went down for the second moto because, like I said, it was super hot. And the way it works in the States, if you finish between 5th and 10th, I believe, you can go down as an alternate. And if someone doesn't show up, they'll fill that spot with one of the alternates. And I believe I finished 9th in that LCQ. And I go down there for the second moto, and I think there was 4 alternates ahead of me. Yeah, there's 4 alternates ahead of me, so I was the 5th one. All 4 of those alternates got in, and I was the last one sitting there. And let me tell you, that sucks. I've had that happen
Yeah.
way too many times.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting
Yeah.
down there, and I'm super upset because I wanted to ride. And my dad was up. He was somewhere. He wasn't with me. I was grumpy sitting on my bike because I was like, you got to be kidding me. All these guys made it in, and I'm sitting here alone again. So he comes back to me, and he said, Jordan, don't go anywhere. There's an open gate. And I perked up immediately. I was like, huh? Okay. So I'm sitting there, And me and my dad were talking. He's like, there's an open gate, but there's a rider standing in that gate. They had to take the bike back for bike something, bike maintenance of some sort. And technically, you're not supposed to be able to hold the gate unless your bike is there after, like, when they let you go out for a sight lap. If your bike's not there, that's it.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, they held it. I did not get a sight lap. I pulled up as the 2 card was going up is when they told me I can get on the line. So second moto, WW, super gnarly track, hot as hell outside because middle of summer in Florida, no sight lap, no idea what I'm getting into. Never raced a pro race like that before. And I go out in a race, still having bike issues, but at that point it didn't really matter. You know, I was in the race.
Made it.
Yeah. I made the
cool.
race.
Yeah.
So it was a pretty cool race. I thought I was dying when I came off the track though, because about halfway through I started losing power and I couldn't hit the jumps. Because the jumps that were there were pretty big booters. So you really needed all the power you had on the 250 to get through the sand to be able to get all the way over it. So I wasn't getting any breaks. I was having to roll the jumps. So I wasn't getting a chance to let my arms shake out a little bit. So I was basically riding the entire 35 minutes. Came off the track and I think I just laid on the ground and had my dad and a friend of mine just start pouring water bottles on me because I was so hot.
Yeah.
So that was a pretty cool first race experience. I guess a more recent one was 2 years ago at Thunder Valley in Colorado. I typically do pretty well out there. Not totally sure why. It's got some big jumps and the ruts are pretty cool out there, so that's always fun. But I was doing super well in the LCQ. I was battling for 4th, and it's only a 4-lap race, so it's pretty short. And I think the beginning of the 3rd lap, I started losing my clutch. The bolt that holds the clutch lever into the clutch perch, the nut fell off, so the bolt was starting to back out. So I was losing my clutch slowly, and it's a very elevated track. So on a 250, it's really not good to not have a clutch. Makes it very difficult. Makes it very difficult to ride. So unfortunately, I ended up going back to 6th, and the guy that was in 5th ended up bumping me a little bit. And I was already upset because I was doing good. I was riding hard. And I think by the end of that race, I think I would have finished in 4th. I think I would have made it straight in. So I was already frustrated. And he bumped me a little bit trying to get around me. And I was like, ooh, that rubbed me the wrong way. We didn't do anything necessarily dirty. But like I said, I was a little grumpy. I ended up getting into, I can't remember if it was both motos or just the second. But I think it was just the second. But when I lined up on the gate, he was ahead of me. He was the alternate ahead of me. So he got the gate before I did. So I saw him and I was like, all right, that's my goal. My goal is to beat him just because at this point. So I take off and pretty early in the lap, I end up going down and I hit my head pretty good. So it took me a second to get up. I kind of got up and I was frustrated. I was like, oh man, like there goes that race. But, you know, I was in the race. So, you know, it wasn't too big of a heartbreaker. But I got up and I was charging, and about halfway through, that guy that was my goal to beat, I could see him, and I was like, "Oh, here we go, here we go." That's the motivation I needed. So I'm tracking down. I'm getting closer and closer, and my dad was in the mechanics area, and whoever was mechanicking for the guy that I was chasing down had said to my dad with like 3 laps to go, like, "Oh yeah, she's gonna get tired." And my dad was like, I wouldn't count on that. And he's like, no, come on, be for real. Like, she's going to get tired, right? And my dad was like, nope, she's not a chance. She's not going to get tired. And that guy, I guess, kind of blew my dad off. Like, he didn't believe him. And we get the 2-lap board, and I'm right behind him. And I'm all over him. And he's doing everything he can to keep me behind him. And I get around him with a lap to go, and by the time I came off, I think I'd put like 15-20 seconds on him because he used every bit of energy he had to hold me
you
off.
He cooked himself.
Yeah. When my dad and that guy's mechanic were walking back, he said to my dad, he's like, well, I guess I know what to tell him he needs to work on after this. He needs to work on being able to hold on for the whole moto.
Yeah,
It's like, well,
that's it.
that was a good boost of confidence for me on that one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that's that's cool. That's cool. I love it. Um, Tell us a little bit about your when you've done a little bit of Supercross. So you did a bit of you did a bit of Monster Energy Cup, and a little bit of stuff like that, and then also just I know you tried to qualify for some Supercrosses. Like, yeah, tell us a little bit about Supercross.
Yeah, I personally do not like Supercross. I'm going to be completely honest with you. It scares the shit out of me.
Yeah,
Um, but growing up, it was always something that my dad told me to do. And when I'm younger, it does. I don't understand why. It's just like, I don't like doing this. Why are you making me do this?
yeah,
Um, but I'm glad he did, because I believe that is why I'm such a big jumper now.
yeah,
Is because I was jumping the Supercross stuff, which was super sketchy. So the motocross stuff it's fine. It's not that bad anymore.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, I rode arena cross, which is basically Supercross, but just in an arena instead of
yeah.
like a stadium. So I did that, and I got to go to Monster Cup twice because of it. So that was pretty cool. And then I got to go to Monster Cup a third time. And that one was really cool because I was the only female to have ever been invited for the 250 class, the 250
Yeah.
All-Star class. I was the second female for the Super Mini class. So that was another cool thing to kind of add to my name.
Mm.
It's just the experience of it altogether was wild. I think some of my best experiences had come from specifically the first year at Monster Cup. I didn't place well. I think I fell both motos, and the one moto when I fell, I broke. I think I hit a tough lock or something, and it broke my back brake pedal off. Uh,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
that's also not fun to be riding Supercross without a back brake.
No, that's right. Yeah.
No, it's just not fun at all. But I remember that was the first year I rode there. Was the year they had the start up at the top of the stadium. Excuse me.
Yeah.
So scary to begin with, considering you're like fourth, fifth gear wide open going into a corner.
Yeah.
Going downhill like that, it was definitely something I can say I've never done before. But the one moto, I was pretty far back after I'd fallen and gotten up, and I was so far back that on the very last lap, the leaders had already finished. I had come through, and the way the track went that year is there's a sand section that rode right up against the bleachers or the stands.
Yeah.
And then it came up and made a right, and it was a Supercross triple, and then another right, and it was a finish line double. And I don't think I hit that double the whole rest of the night. I think I just did it to say, this is last lap, screw it.
Yeah.
But like I said, the leaders were so far ahead that they had already finished, so I had the track to myself. And the announcer talking about me last lap when I was the only one out there. And I was riding past the stands, and everybody in Sam Boyd Stadium was cheering for me as I was going past. And when I hit the Supercross triple and the finish line double, everybody went crazy because they were talking about how I was the only girl there that year. And, it was so cool. It was by far one of my favorite memories of ever being on a bike. Like, I didn't finish well because of obvious circumstances, but, they made me feel super welcome. It was definitely something I can say that most people haven't done before or had that experience. So I think that's part of why it makes it feel so special.
Mm.
But yeah, that kind of put me on to trying for Supercross. I'd worked for so many years trying to get my Supercross points. And I actually got a call from AMA. I was at Loretta's. I think it might have been 21. I was there hanging out. I was doing some announcing and supporting my friends and everything. And I got a call from AMA, and they told me that one of the races that I had done that year, they were awarding Supercross points out to, and then that was the last 2 points that I needed to get my Supercross license. So I was sitting up on what they call Service Hill at Loretta's because there's nothing.
Yeah, I've heard of that. Yeah, I've heard of Service Hill. Yeah,
there's nothing.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting up on the hill with my close friends at the time, and we're sitting up on the golf cart, and I get the call, and I knew the person from AMA that was calling me to tell me that I got my Supercross license. And I remember being on the phone, and he was like, "Hey, Jordan, guess what?" And I was like, "What?" Like, "You're getting your Supercross license." And I was like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, we're giving you points for this race, which means you have the total points you need to get your Supercross license. So that means you get your Supercross license." And I remember I started flipping out because still to this day, I'm only the second female to have ever had their Supercross license before.
Who was the first? So Mercedes. Mercedes was the first, I suppose.
Nope.
No.
Vicky Golden.
Oh, okay. Yep.
So, I was super pumped. My friends were there. They were all super pumped for me. So that was really cool. And I kind of tried. I definitely think that I could have maybe not necessarily done a little bit more because I did what I could at the time. My problem is I never really had enough time to prepare. And knowing that I wasn't going to chase around the whole Supercross series. So I only did Daytona. I did Daytona twice. And part of that was because it's kind of a hybrid track. So it was a little bit, I won't say easier because it definitely wasn't much easier, but it was a little more comfortable, I guess.
Yeah.
Compared to what I was used to. And the first year I actually, got to race. Well, I got to practice. I didn't qualify for the LCQ, but it was definitely something that I've never done before. Like, it was another one of those experiences that are like, wow, this is so different. I did not like the stuff that I did to prepare was right, but it's just not the same. Like, the way they build the jumps at Supercross is way different than what you'll find at pretty much every other Supercross. So it's just some of the stuff that, it was next to impossible to prepare for unless you've done it before.
Yeah.
And that being my first one, I had no idea. But then not this year, but last year, I tried for it again, and I got into press day, and I actually ended up falling in press day. And it was such a goofy fall, too. So bummed out at myself for it. I missed my back brake to be able to get my front end down, and it just kind of tossed me off the bike, and I landed on the next jump coming just after it. And I guess I landed right on the crest of the top of the jump.
Yeah.
With my arm like this, and it pushed my elbow in and strained several muscles and tendons and stuff in my arm.
Yeah.
And I did try to ride. I went out for practice the next day. I remember I was sitting in my van with my dad, and I was in a lot of pain. And my dad, he's normally pretty tough on me, but he could see that I was super upset with myself and the situation and everything around it. Honestly, I think he was a little happy that I wasn't going out because there wasn't a chance of me getting hurt. So, but I was sitting in the van, and my dad was like, "Jordan, I don't know if you're going to be able to do this." And I was like, "Well, I'm going to try. And the chances are I'm not going to be able to, but I'm going to try." So I'd iced my elbow the whole time. I couldn't pull my pants up. Like when I was getting dressed or, anything like that, I could not get my pants up past my hip because that motion was excruciating.
Yeah.
But my dad, he pulled them up the rest of the way and zipped them up for me, and I went down to ride. And unfortunately, I didn't get past the first turn. Got into the first turn, and there was some chatter bumps that I went across, and that was it. Unfortunately, immediately burst into tears because I was in so much pain. It came off, and unfortunately, that was that. But no, it was another experience. As much as it was very painful, it's not something I would have traded. There's a lot of stuff
Yeah.
that I've done in my career and in my life that, once again, most people haven't, and I'm super grateful to have had those experiences, and I'm definitely making sure that I'm living my career to the fullest. That's for sure.
That's it, and keep it like that for the rest of your life too. That's the way to be. That's the way to be. You at the end of your life, it's the memories that you have. It's all about the memories. So
That's part of
yeah,
why I want to travel and go to all these different races and tracks and stuff like that.
mm,
You know, a lot of these women that I looked up to growing up, most of them didn't have the chances to go to other countries and stuff like that to do all these races and stuff like that.
mm,
And I didn't even think about it when I was growing up. Like, that was never on my mind of something that I could aspire to do or work towards doing. That kind of happened after we lost the WMX here. Then we kind of started looking elsewhere.
yeah,
So I think that would be another cool thing to kind of really showcase. If you're able to, if you have the chances and the opportunities, go travel, go see the world, go meet some new friends in some other countries, and get all the experiences that some of the other people don't have.
mm. Absolutely. That's a go. Who was your hero when you were? Who was your hero back in the day? I reckon it's out of probably three different people. But which one was it?
So growing up, my idol was Ashley Follick.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, a little insider information that most people don't know. I was actually born with hearing loss in both ears. I'm
Okay.
supposed to be wearing hearing aids, but I don't like the attention that I get from them. Um,
Yeah.
I feel like most people would see that as odd, because it seems to be that women typically do enjoy attention. But I, like yourself, I'm kind of introverted, I guess. I kind of keep to myself for the most part.
Mm,
If I know you, that's a different story. If we're good friends, that's
yeah.
a different story. You'll see a whole other side to me.
Yeah.
But um, so growing up with hearing aids and having hearing loss and stuff like that, I got to have the opportunity to look up to another female motocross racer, and at the time she was the best, if not, or I'm sorry, one of the best, if not the best.
Yeah.
And she herself obviously had hearing loss. She was deaf. Thankfully, I'm not all the way deaf. But it was really cool. I actually, when I was growing up, I graduated through public high school. I was
Yeah.
never homeschooled. So that alone makes me a little different, I guess, than most of the kids nowadays.
Mm.
When I was growing up in, I guess it was elementary school, or primary school in other countries, possibly.
Yeah, we call it primary
Um,
school. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, super little. We had, I believe it was a Women in History project. And they obviously weren't expecting me to pick motocross racer. They wanted me to pick some people that are probably much
And
older.
and Frank or someone like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's yeah, yeah.
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 Um, but I was, gosh, I don't know, probably 7 or 8 at the time. So motocross was the only thing I was thinking of. Um, so I asked if I could do it on Ashley, and they gave me the go ahead to do it. And I ended up doing it, and the project was to make a sculpture or something of the person, and write an essay and an award that you could present to this person if they were here or something like that.
Mm.
So I did that. My mom helped me out, and I made this little award. And my mom and dad had actually reached out to Ashley. I believe it was her parents reached out to Ashley's parents, and Ashley was actually supposed to fly out to that ceremony or that presentation or whatever, and I was going to actually give it to her. And I had no idea, but she had to end up cancel for whatever reason. And as I'm so sorry, let's do this instead. They invited me and my family out to go ride with Ashley, her little brother, who awesomely is named Kicker. Invited us out to go hang out with them and ride with them at a track in Florida. And ever since then, I would consider Ashley a friend. I know she pays attention still nowadays to the women's racing, but she paid close attention to me when I was growing up, and that was super awesome. I think that's kind of why I try to do the same. I think it was, I thought it was amazing, to have your idol
Yeah.
come up to the line with you, invite you out, all that kind of stuff like that. So I try to hopefully give them some insight on some stuff.
It goes a long way, that sort of thing, like
It does.
it goes a long way, and it also it speaks volumes for the type of person that she is, and that you are. The fact that you are doing that, that you care about those fans that are looking up to you, because it's like it can literally change lives, like so yeah, it is cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's something, I don't even know how to describe it. It's to be on this end of it now, to be trying to reach out to the younger girls. It's awesome for me. I'm sure, I hope they find it awesome as well, but it's awesome for me to do it because it's really cool to get to go up to these girls and make friends with them. There's this one little girl, she lives in Texas, I believe. I met her family and her through a friend. And I've been kind of keeping a close eye on her for a while now because she's little. She's I'm so sorry about this if I get it wrong. I want to say she's 12 or 13.
Yeah.
So she's super, super little still. She's still so young. And she finished 7th last year in the girls class. And this year she had super high hopes going into it. And she had a little bit of a tough first moto. And I remember walking down to her and I was talking to her. I was like, hey, like, Loretta's is tough. Like, there's a ton of pressure that goes into this race. Obviously not for no reason, but it doesn't necessarily make it any easier. But I was just trying to talk to her and be like, hey, like, this year might not be going the way you want, but there's always next year if you can't do better in these next couple motos. It is what it is. And I'm one to say it because obviously it sucks when you don't win, but being older now, I see more clearly, I guess, that it's not the end of the world. Women's racing really doesn't have a ton of opportunities like men's racing does. You go to a local track, you can ride 5 different classes if you're 20 and you're a guy.
Yeah.
Women's only has one designated class.
Yeah.
So it's to accept. But I was trying to talk to her about that, and she actually ended up having a bike issue.
Sorry, just lost you a little bit there. Yep. Yeah, you were just talking about the little one that had a bike issue.
Yeah, she put her heart into trying to get that bike back running, but unfortunately her motor was done. She pushed it off the track. The workers tried getting it started, and they were about ready to give up, and I just so happened to be up in the announcer's tower in the middle of the track. And I walked down to see if I could help. I found one of the officials, and I was like, hey, like, she's already a lap down. Can I go see if I can help them get the bike started? And thankfully they let me go help. I couldn't get it started, and she was heartbroken, and it absolutely killed me to see that. Because I know exactly what that's like. I've had 2 bike breaks at Loretta's. So I absolutely get that. But after that race, I helped push her bike off the track. Her dad came over, and they went back up to their motorhome. I made sure to go. She's in her motorhome still, super, super upset. And her parents allowed me to go in and talk to her. And I got her out. We went to get her some ice cream, and she cheered up. She had a smile on her face by the end of that. And that happens, especially when it's something you have no control. But her parents and her grandparents and stuff like that pulled me aside, and they're like, Jordan, like, thank you so much. Like, we didn't know what to say to her. Like, we couldn't get her to come out of the motorhome and like this and that. And that to me, it really means a lot to be able to help somebody like that.
Mm.
And I really hope that, you know, this next generation of women is going to continue the same thing and reach out to some of the girls behind them and keep this going. You know, there's not a lot of women racers. You know, we're growing in numbers, but there's still not a lot. And as much as we're racing for rides and championships and stuff like that, we still have to kind of look out for each other and do what we can to be there for everybody. And I think we're going on a pretty good track right now. I think we're doing pretty well on that side of it anyway.
Yeah, I think so. I'm all for it. That's for sure. like I've said, you know, what I you know, been telling my daughter since she was little to look up to chicks that ride. So yeah, absolutely. Yeah, cool. Hey, what's your plans like? You know, when you do hang up the boots, I hope it's not for a long time. But what's your plans? You know, what do you want to do?
Well, if I have a say in it, it's not going to be for a long time either. I'm not sure. I've always done training. I really enjoy training kids and helping them hopefully become whatever kind of rider they want to be. So I would love to continue doing that. And in recent years, since I stopped riding Loretta's and stuff like that, I kind of played my hand a little bit at announcing. And I've been told that I do a pretty decent job at that. So who knows? Maybe I'll do some announcing on the side and keep training kids throughout the week would be ideal. Regardless, whatever it is, I will be staying in the sport. I will find a way. I am not going anywhere. Motocross is my family, and I don't intend on leaving that anytime soon.
Nice. I like to hear it. Yeah, it's good. It's good. Good. That's it. Cool. Might ask a couple of non-moto questions though
Okay.
toward the end of the show. I always ask people. I'm always interested. What sort of music are you into?
I listen to a little bit of everything. Right now,
Yeah.
I've been on a bit of a country kick, but
Yeah.
I listen to pretty much everything for the most part.
Just a bit of anything. Yeah. What
Yeah.
about did Dad get you into any sort of old school stuff? Do you like a bit of stuff that he used to listen to, or?
Nah, he didn't really listen to any old school stuff. I kind of got there on my own. You play enough of the MX versus ATV games or any of those, you kind of get into that style of music, and then it's a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
But no,
Yeah.
I listen to whatever I'm playing, or like if we're in a car, I'll jam out to anything as long as it's a good song and we're having fun.
Yeah, cool. What about, are you a you know, race day morning? Are you like listening to some music to like fire you up, or are you like quiet, or what's that like?
For the most part, I feel like I'm fairly quiet. If it's like Loretta's or something like that, I'll try to listen to music right before I go out, just to give my mind something to focus on a little bit, just to quiet out everything else. You know,
Oh
I'm
yeah,
still
yeah.
focusing on the race and stuff like that, and what I need to do, and maybe trying to check out some lines, try to limit the distractions and stuff like that.
Yeah. So music to sort of keep the distractions out rather than to fire you up. Yeah, yeah. So different
A little bit, yeah.
use of music. Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
It
Cool.
goes both
Cool.
ways.
Interesting.
Yeah, it goes both ways. I feel like it definitely, depending
Yeah.
on whatever song comes up next. No, I guess it kind of depends on the mood I'm in. If you know, first moto, something like that, and I need to be a little fired up, I'll listen to a little more upbeat music. But if it's like a second or third moto and I got a ton of pressure on me, something to keep my mind off of the pressure is probably where I'll go with that one.
Cool. Cool. Awesome. Hey, what else? What do you have? Any other like hobbies, interests, that sort of thing? When it's not moto, what is there? Anything else?
Well, can cycle during the week, and I ride myself during the week or on the weekends. There's not much time to do much anything else. Um,
Yeah.
I actually feel like I can be a little bit of a nerd sometimes. I very much enjoy reading when I find the time, and every now and then I'll pull out my sketchbook and draw a little bit.
Oh yeah, cool. Cool. What do you read? What sort of books do you read? Like autobiographies or fiction or
No, yeah, I feel like my go-to normally is a bit of science fiction. I feel like
Okay, yep.
most people live a pretty, I won't say average life, but a pretty consistent life. Get your head out of that and show you a little bit of a different world, I guess. Something just to make your mind think a little bit more is typically where I go for that. Like a little bit of a break from everything. Gets you thinking about something else for a little while.
Yeah, cool. And what sort of things do you draw? What's you drawing? Oh, my daughter, she's right into that sort of thing, and my niece. My niece is exceptionally good. What things do you draw?
Well, definitely not anything realistic. I'm not that good of a drawer. I can do cartoons. That's about
Okay.
it.
Yeah. You just enjoy doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, cartoons or like flowers or something like that. Just something, like I said, something to keep me busy for a little bit. Enjoy a little time off.
Cool. Interesting. That's not nerdy at all. That's cool. That's cool. Nerdy, yeah, you definitely. There's no such thing as anyone that's in moto that's nerdy. That's for sure. Yeah, no, that's cool. All right, hey, I've kept you for a fair while, and it's getting dark there, and that sort of
Yeah.
thing. So we might wrap it up. There's just two things I do towards the end of the show, and the first one is give me your best Aussie accent.
Oh no. Oh, you got to give me a sentence. What am I saying?
um, what are we gonna say? Just give us a g'day, mate.
Okay. Uh, Good day, mate.
Oh, you broke up right as you were saying it. You better run that back again.
No, you're gonna make me say it again. Whew. All right. Good day, mate.
Geez, you're actually not too bad. That wasn't too bad at all. Yeah.
Oh,
Usually, yeah, that's not bad.
so, so you're giving me more reason to come to Australia so I can progress this accent a little bit more and make it a little bit better.
Yeah, that's all right. I've already been thinking of a couple of people I've got to reach out to get you down here on a Yamaha. So that's it. So yeah,
Hey, I
no, don't
told
worry
you,
about it.
I'm not picky. Any bike.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I might. Yeah, I'm just. Yeah, actually, there's actually a Yamaha team that might be actually the best fit. So you never know. I'm not sure if they'll be interested in delving into the WMX class. So, yeah, cool. Hey, the last thing I do, I don't know whether you know how I end the show, but I end the show by singing a little bit of Kenny Rogers. And I'm not a singer,
Oh,
and it's not serious, and it is just a bit of fun, and it's a sort of funny backstory to why I do it. But I always say to people, if you know the words to Kenny Rogers, the Gambler, then you're more than welcome to join in and help out. So it's just the outro music to the to the show. Like I said, nothing serious and no pressure. So I'll get into a bit of Kenny Rogers. So I handed him my bottle, and he drank down my last swallow. Then he bummed a cigarette and asked me for a light, and the night got deathly quiet. And his face lost all expression. Said, if you're gonna play the game, boy, you gotta learn to play it right. You got to know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em, know when to walk away, know when to run. You never count your money. When you're sitting at the table, there'll be time enough for counting when the dealing's done. Jordan Jarvis, thank you very much for coming on the outside gate. it's been a good fun show, and good luck with all everything else you got going on for the rest of this year. And I'd love to have you on the show again at some stage.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This was awesome, and absolutely, I'm more than open to coming back again. I got plenty more stories. Don't you worry.
Okay, no worries. You drive safe, and enjoy the rest of your drive. And good talking to you. Cheers.
Thank you. It's good talking to you as well.
No worries. Thank you. Cheers.
Thank you.
Bye.